Welcome, guys. What's up? How you doing? This is Jordan. I'm back with another video. I got a really cool surprise for you guys in this series, guys. If you are a musical creator, if you're a producer, if you're a singer songwriter, and you're a worship leader, whatever it is, and you've really been wanting to compose and create your own music, and you want to kind of know the steps from an idea to an actual reality, to an actually fully mixed and mastered, finished, polished product, then I want you to tune into this video because this series is gonna blow your mind over the next few videos. I don't know how many videos this could be. This might be 10, 20, 50 videos. I don't know. But I'm going to show you step by step. So whether you do this yourself or whether you're working with a producer or an engineer or somebody that's, even if you're kind of collaborating, you guys are like working on trying to get these ideas out. I'm going to show you my process and how I take a little idea that I hear in my head and how I bring it into reality. How I bring it into reality so far as laying the parts down. I'm talking about mixing it. I'm talking about mastering it. I haven't seen anybody on YouTube doing this, especially when it comes to complex music. I'm going to show you every single step. So in this first video, what we're going to talk about in this first video, really quick, is I'm going to give you the introduction to what I call the silent whisper. So, welcome to this series again. It's going to be this first video. The series is going to be called the "You Are a Creator" series, and in this in this video, we're going to talk about how do you turn an idea, into reality. So, the first thing that I want you guys to understand is that you're going to get songs, right? Or you're gonna be in the pursuit of inspiration, or inspiration is gonna hit you, and you're gonna have this idea, and this idea of a song, you're gonna want to express it. And so when this inspiration hits, um, you're normally gonna get it. It could come through, a collaboration with somebody. It could come through a thought. It could come through a melody, a hum. I have a video as well where I cover this, where I talk about writing your first worship song, and I cover inspiration, so you can watch that video. But let's talk about. I woke up one day, out of bed, and I just had this melody, and I was here, da, 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 and I. It starts as this simple little whisper, this simple thought, and it becomes silent whisper. It becomes a hum, and I start to hum, and I say, okay. So the next thing is, how do we get that idea out? How do we get it out of our head, out of the spirit world, into our thoughts, into our consciousness, then to our speech, and then translating it out. So the first step I want you to understand is that it's very important that you capture your idea. And so one of the ways that you can capture idea, of course, is with the voice. And so there are three ways that I find that you can capture an idea. Is through the voice. You can capture maybe with a sample. Maybe you use samples, or we could say this is called maybe pre-recorded works already of another material, whether it's your material, somebody else's material. You might get inspiration like that, and you capture ideas by using that. And you also might play an instrument. So maybe you play guitar, maybe you play the piano, maybe you play the drums, whatever it is, right? And so you're going to get inspiration through these ways as well. And now what happens normally when you get this inspiration, you get this melody, you get this hum. So some people, they get the melody first. For some people, they get the lyrics first, right? Now, regardless of where your skill level is at, or regardless of where you are so far as your proficiency, one of the things that I found very helpful to use is a notebook. And so what happens is, now some people can get a notebook where, let's say it's a notebook where you can score the music out, or a music notation. Maybe you know how to write music, and you can take this notebook and you can start to write the music out what you hear. Or maybe you're not there yet. Maybe you're somebody like me, where I can start sitting at the piano and I can write out the chords, right? Or maybe you're somebody that you start to get the lyrics, and you want to go ahead and you want to start writing them out. And so maybe you get lyrics, you can use this notebook, and you can start writing. You can start writing out your lyrics, right? And so maybe if you're like me, maybe you get you get the melodies and you start to hear the lyrics, you start to write them out. And so like one thing that you could do for me, what I like to do is, as if you can see here, I start to create my in on my notebook. I start to write. So what I do is I start to write out my lyrics, and then what I like to do is I like to write out my chords. So as you can see, I start to do this notation. I write out my chords, and I start to prepare, kind of my foundation of what I'm going to start creating, right? And so this is this is definitely one way that you could start, that you could use to start getting the idea out of your head. And now another way that we could talk about is our voice memo. So maybe you have a phone. A lot of phones have a voice memo app, or you could download it from your app store, your Play Store, depending on your Android or iPhone. Sometimes you can go to get one of those little Zooms. People have that. You would carry those in your pocket. There's all types of different devices where you could actually get a recorder, some type of device where you could record. So whenever you get the idea, you can say, oh, okay, well, let me hum into it. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be great. Again, it's just an idea. It's just to get the idea out of your head and into the tangible, make it tangible. You want to get out of the spirit realm. You want to get it out of this place of just where it's in consciousness. You want to bring it here to the third dimension. You want to bring it here to reality, to the earth, right? And so this is a great way that you can start doing that, by using a notebook or using a voice memo or a voice recorder. And the other way you could do it is, if you're a little more advanced and you already know how to use your programs and stuff, you can use a DAW, which is a digital audio workstation. So you can use things like, you can go ahead and you can record in something like Logic, or you can record in something like Pro Tools or so. And so you could use those programs, and you can start to lay down maybe your voice, or you can start to lay down the piano. And that's what we're going to be really covering within this series. I'm going to show you how to get all these ideas, put them on my instrument, put them into the program, so you can start getting into your digital audio workstation and start making these ideas actually into works, right? So that way you can put it out into world. And so these are basically to me, these are the starting points of how you want to get these ideas out. Now, sometimes you might have an idea. You might be like, well, I'll go back and record it later. Or you might not think it's a good idea for the moment, and maybe you don't deem it's worthy. But I want to tell you this. Guess what? Record it anyway. Record it anyway. And so I want to show you, and wrapping this video, I want to show you a quick example of what I actually did so far as in capturing my idea into reality. And so I want you to be able to take what I just broke down with you, take this first step and getting this idea out. And so one of the things that I did, I started to get this melody in my head. I said, da, 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 da. And so what I did is I went to the piano and I started to, play the notes and try to figure out the chords. Of course, I don't know exactly what it is, but I sit down at the piano and I'll try to figure it out. And so what began to happen is I started to develop an idea and a concept. And so I want to show you this. Actually, I recorded this for documentation so you can see what I'm talking about. And so now, if you notice, I have 3 ideas. And so what I did in this first idea, I literally just took my phone. And I hit the red button on the voice recorder, and I just said, okay, I'm going to record this idea. And I sat there and I played the piano, and this is what it sounded like. As an idea is called Your Grace, so I might call it Cover Me, but it's going to start on a bass line. It's going to go. So you gotta see, I'm just gonna go a little forward so we don't have to listen to the whole thing. But check this out. So as you can see that this this recording is just, it's kind of all over the place, but I'm humming, I'm making up words, nothing's making sense, right? And so it was just to get the idea so I can listen back to it and say, okay, now what I could do when I see that, I sit down on my, I'll probably lay in my bed or I sit down on my couch and I'll start to write out what I heard and I'll start to refine it. And I'll start to listen to the record and I start to get in my head, okay, well, let's do like this, and I start to create the words. And as I'm doing that, I'm going back and forth and back, and I'm starting to refine the lyrics and I start to make these edits, right? And so after a while, what happens is I start to make these changes, right? And so then what happens is once I do that, I kind of sit at my piano and I kind of refine everything. And as I showed you before, what I do is I start to write out all of my chords. So I write out the lyrics. I start to make the changes in the lyrics. I start to refine everything down to exactly how I want the song to sound. So even before I go, now some of you might go straight to the program, which is fine. But for me, I like to make sure that it's solid on my instrument and solid. If, let's say, if I was going to perform it live, right? I want to be able to minister or perform it live with just me and the piano. And I want to know I could do it from A to Z, solidly. And so what I do is I'll make sure that I refine all my lyrics. I will refine all of my melodies, all of my chords, and right. And so this is where I talked about where I start to write out the lyrics. And so this is where I talk about also, this is the reason why I do this. This is the reason why I start to write out these lyrics, right? And I get the chords, and so this is where I can kind of go back, I can read it, and I can play it, as well as I can sing the lyrics, and I can make sure that everything is kind of perfect. So you see, as you can see, I'm giving you the example how I do it. I do my choruses, do my verse, etc., right? And so this is just an idea of me showing you how you can start to get this idea out of your head, onto paper, into a format, into a way that is able to be experienced, in reality, by the listener. Right. And so this is one of the key things that I do. And then once I do that, right? Now, once I do that, we're going to talk about, now I do another recording where so now I'm going to do another recording where I'm going to finalize my idea where I was talking about your grace. I'm like, it's not solid, right? And so now I've written out my lyrics, I've written out my chords, because I've got a chance to record my idea, experience it, make my refine. It's almost like if you're writing a book, right? You just kind of write it, and then you go back, you fix your sentences, you fix all those kind of things, right? And so now I'm going to show you, now I have a full scratch, and it will sound, you'll see it's going to sound a lot more together. So check it out. All right, this is Your Grace. Well, Grace is Covering Me pre-arrangement. So it's going to go start out bass on. Your grace and favor, your grace and mercies cover me. Your grace, hallelujah. Your grace and mercies cover me. Called out of darkness, mercy and grace cover my past. No shame, no more bondage, free from my past. Trouble won't last. Always your grace overflow. So now you're getting an idea, right? Let's go forward, because I'm not gonna have to play the whole thing for the sake of time. And now I kind of built it, the choruses, the verses, the bridges, etc., right? So let's check out some more of it. Covered by your grace. Oh, your grace, this is kind of my vamp, right? Now in my head, it's not just me singing that. It's gonna be other people, right? I hear other singers, I hear harmonies and stuff like that. Now, of course, when I'm recording a scratch, I can't necessarily record all the harmonies yet. So this is where we're gonna get into this later in this series, where I'm gonna start showing you laying down harmonies and things like that. But for now, this is just my scratch, my skeleton, my foundation, my chords, my lyrics of how I'm going to approach that. And then, of course, we're going to add all the other stuff, the pianos, the drums, the horns, etc. And then once all that's done, you know, the melodies, the vocals, when all that's done, then we're going to start saying, okay, let's start cleaning it up. Let's mix it. Let's get it in a format where it's going to sound, you know, radio ready, and we could put it out into the world. And so, but before we get to any of those advanced steps, we got to understand how to get this idea out of our head first. And so, guys, you know, just a recap. So remember, you want to get this idea out of your head, just start simple. Simply with one of these three things. Your voice. Again, you can use samples. People like Kanye West, they use samples. See, like Kurt Franklin sometimes uses samples in his music. Or if you're instrumentalist, you play an instrument, use your instrument to start. Again, your ideas, you feel like your ideas might not be the best. You feel like they might not be ready. You feel like, well, I don't know, maybe record it anyway. Record it anyway, no matter what, no matter how you feel about it, no matter if you think that it's good, no matter if you think that it's ready, it's just an idea. Nobody has to hear it. It can stay literally just in your phone and your recorder. But record it. Record the idea. Okay, guys, so I hope that helped you in this first step of beginning to make your musical creation. And this is, I want you guys to stay tuned. If you haven't, please like this video, share this with somebody, subscribe as well. Subscribe so you can get these notifications as I'm going to be releasing these videos. So that way you can start this journey. And I'm telling you, watch. I don't even know how the song is going to turn out. I haven't recorded it yet. The only recording that I've done so far since this video that you're watching right now is the recording that you just heard. The recording that you just heard from me just playing the piano. That's all I've done. So as I'm releasing these videos, you're going to be experiencing this live with me. So I have no idea how this is going to turn out. I have no idea how it's going to end up. But what I do know is I know to trust my process. And if you haven't watched my video, I have a video on trusting your process, your musical process. And so I've built a process. I've developed a process through the years of trusting my process, not knowing how it's going to turn out, but knowing that I have a process and knowing that it is going to turn out to the better. And it should turn out maybe as good as I think, hopefully, or better than I think. But it's all about, I'm going to trust my process. I'm trusting myself. I'm trusting God. I'm trusting my process in my creation. So, guys, thank you for tuning into this video. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace and blessings. Bye.